The space station was calm again. The stars shone bright outside the windows. The danger had passed. The people of Orbit Post 9 were tired but grateful. They had faced a great threat, and Wanton walked through the halls with Mira by his side. She no longer held his leg all the time, but she stayed close. Sometimes she sat on his shoulder or followed just behind. They had become a team. Almost like Familia Station Commander called Tom to his office. He gave Tom a medal for bravery and teamwork. He spoke with respect and kindness. You and Mira saved the station. We owe you more than words can say. You are heroes. Tom looked down at Mira. She was shy but proud. She held his finger with her tiny hand. We did this together, Tom said softly after the ceremony. The crew threw a small party. Music played. Lights flashed, and everyone smiled. Mira danced on the table with joy. She did not speak much, but her happiness was clear. Tom watched her and thought about how much had changed. A tiny alien woman had come into his life unexpectedly. She had chosen him as her protector. Now he knew she was his protector. 2 days passed. Repairs were finished. The station returned to normal work. But Tom knew their bond was special. Mira was not just a small alien or a gift. She was his friend, his protector, his familiar. One evening, Tom sat in his room. Mira was beside him, playing with a small light cube. He smiled and spoke quietly. Do you want to stay here, on this station, with me? Mira looked up. She placed her hand on his chest, then pointed around the room. Her eyes shone softly. This is home, she said with a small voice. Tom nodded. He felt warmth in his heart from that day. Tom and Mira worked together. They fixed problems, explored the station, and helped the crew. They shared quiet moments watching the stars. Sometimes, Mira would tell a story in her simple way. Using pictures and sound, crew accepted Mira as one of their own. Children asked to see her. Adults asked about her powers. But Tom always said one thing: she is not magic. She is a friend. A very special friend. The station scientists continued to study Mira's powers. They learned more about the Solari and their light energy. But they also learned about the bond between two beings. The strength of trust and kindness. Tom and Mira proved that even the smallest friend can change the world. That even the tiniest hand can hold the strongest light on day. As the station prepared for a new mission, Tom stood by the window. Mira sat on his shoulder, quiet and calm. He looked out at the stars and smiled. We will face what comes next, he said. Mira nodded and touched his cheek gently. Tom was a human soldier. He had been trained on Earth for many years, and now he was sent to a distant world called Zarnik. Zarnik Base was a large place built by both humans and aliens to protect the galaxy together. It had tall silver towers, flying machines, and cold winds that never stopped. Tom walked through the main gate with his gear on his back. He looked around with calm eyes. Other humans were there, but also many alien warriors. Some were tall with horns, some had wings, and some had glowing eyes. They all wore armor and held weapons. It was clear this was not an easy place. Tom was not nervous. He had seen danger before. But one thing he had never seen was an alien like her. Her name was Mira. She had smooth blue skin, bright silver eyes, and long dark hair tied behind her head. Her armor was black with red marks. She stood straight and strong, watching the new rivals. She didn't smile. She didn't blink. Tom looked at her for a moment. Then he looked away and kept walking. Later that day, all the new soldiers were gathered for training. The captain, a human named Dale, gave orders. Today, you will train in teams. One human, one alien. You must learn to fight together. No excuses. Tom stood quietly while names were called. Then he heard it. Tom with Mira. He turned. Mira was already walking toward him. She looked serious, almost cold. You better not slow me down, she said. Tom gave a small smile. I'll try my best not to. They began training in the sand yard behind the base. The drill was simple. One partner would attack, the other would defend, then switch. Mira moved fast. Her attacks were sharp and perfect. Tom blocked them one by one, not with speed but with good timing. Then it was his turn. He struck with care, not trying to hurt her. But Mira didn't like that. Fight properly, she said. Don't treat me like glass, I'm not. Tom replied. Just warming up. Mira attacked again, faster than before. Her blade came close to his face, just a few inches. Tom leaned back and caught her wrist. He didn't let go. Mira tried to pull free, but Tom held firm. He looked at her. You're beautiful when angry. He said. Myra's eyes widened. She didn't expect that. Her face changed. The fight stoppage pulled her arm away and stepped back. Her cheeks, though blue, now had a soft shade of purple. She turned and walked away without a word. Tom stood still for a moment. Then he sat on a rock and wiped sweat from his forehead. Other soldiers nearby whispered and watched, but Tom didn't care. That night, in the food hall, Mira sat alone. Tom walked in with his tray and saw her. He thought for a second, then walked past her and sat elsewhere. He didn't want to push her too much. Mira glanced at him when she thought he wasn't looking. Her heart was still beating fast, and she didn't know why. No one had ever said something like that to her on her world. Strength was everything. No one talked about beauty, not during war, not during peace. She told herself to forget it, but she couldn't. The next day, training continued. This time it was a group mission in the virtual room. Soldiers were placed in a simulation of a ruined city. They had to find a power core and protect it while enemies attacked. Tom and Mira were together again. We go left, she said. No, right path is better cover. Tom replied. Mira frowned. You think you know better than me. Tom looked at her calmly. I just trust my eyes. But if you want to lead, go ahead. I'll follow. Mira turned right. She didn't want to admit he was correct, but inside, she felt unsure. Still, she didn't like being told what to do. They moved through broken buildings and narrow streets. Robots started attacking from all sides. Mira and Tom fought side by side. Mira used her sword. Tom used a plasma rifle. They covered each other perfectly. Mira noticed something. Tom never panicked. Even when he got hurt, he kept moving. He never tried to be the hero. He just did what was needed. They reached the power core and set up defenses. More robots came. Mira was hit on her shoulder. Tom pulled her behind a wall and covered her. You okay? He asked. Fine, she said, though her arm was shaking. He tied a band around her arm to stop the bleeding. You didn't have to help me, she whispered. I did, he replied. We're a team, and I don't leave my team behind. When the mission ended, they returned to the chamber. Mira walked away quietly. Later, she sat in her room and looked at her shoulder. It still hurt, but her heart felt strange too. She remembered his words again. You're beautiful when angry. It made her feel strong and soft at the same time. She didn't like it, but she didn't hate it either. Mira closed her eyes and thought about him, the calm human, the quiet fighter, the one who didn't care about power or fear. Maybe he was different. Maybe humans were not as weak as she believed. She didn't smile, but her heart did tug at her. They were ready for the future. No matter where their journey took them, they knew one truth: they would never be alone again. They had each other, and that was enough. The cold wind moved over Zarnik Base. The sky above was dark, filled with stars. Inside the command center, a new mission was ready. The officers stood near a large screen. A deep cave under the ice fields had been found. Long ago, something old had crashed there. Now it was waking up again. The base needed someone to explore it. Tom stood in the room with other soldiers. His name was called first. Tom will go with Mira, the officer said. Mira stepped forward, her face calm. She didn't look at Tom. They both nodded and left the room. Inside the gear room, Mira packed her tools. She moved quickly and said nothing. Tom walked in, checked his rifle, and looked at her. You okay with this mission? He asked. Mira didn't turn. I follow orders. Tom smiled lightly. That's not what I asked. Mira paused. She looked at him, then spoke in a low voice. I don't like missions with people who talk too much. Tom raised his hands. I'll be quiet then. Like a shadow, Mira picked up her scanner and walked out. Tom followed her to the ship. The small explorer craft lifted off the landing pad. The sky turned white as they passed into the upper clouds. The ice fields stretched below them. shining under the twin moons. Inside the ship, silence filled the air. Tom sat across from Mira, looking out the window. She checked maps on her tablet and marked a path. "This place is unstable," she said. "We go in. We scan. We return. No long stay sounds good." Tom replied. After 2 hours, the ship landed near a deep crack in the ice. Cold wind blew through the broken surface. Mira stepped out first, her boots sinking into the snow. Tom followed, rifle ready. They climbed down slowly, using ropes and gear. The cave inside was huge. Frozen walls rose high around them, strange. Symbols glowed faintly on the stone. The place felt old, very old. Mira moved ahead, scanning everything. Her eyes followed every mark. Tom walked behind her, quiet but alert. He looked at the walls. "These symbols matched the ones we saw during training," he said. Mira nodded. "They are from the first race, lost many ages ago. Very few know how to read them. You do." Tom said. "I studied them as a child," Mira replied. "My people call them the Deep Builders." Tom looked at her with interest. "You don't talk about your past much." "I don't talk about many things," she said. They reached a lower level of the cave. The ice here was dark. The walls were smooth, almost like glass. Mira touched one, and a screen lit up. Lines of old language moved across it. A small door opened beside them. Mira looked back at Tom. "We go in. Stay close inside the chamber." Lights flickered from crystals. In the middle stood a tall structure with wires and rings. Mira scanned it. "This is not just a ruin," she said. "It is a memory core. It holds knowledge." Tom stepped closer. "Can you read it?" "I can try," she said. She placed her hand on the panel. The machine came alive. The lights grew brighter. Images appeared in the air. A war, ships burning, planets falling, voices shouting in many languages. Mira stood still, her eyes locked on the scenes. Tom watched her. "Is this your history?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, my people fought long ago. They trusted no one. They lost everything." Mira's hand shook slightly. She looked away from the images. Tom spoke gently. "That's why you're always guarded. You don't want to repeat their mistakes." Mira didn't answer. She turned off the machine. The lights faded. Silence returned. Suddenly, a sound echoed from the back of the chamber. A growl. A low rumble. Tom raised his weapon. "Something's here from the shadows." A creature crawled out. Its body was made of bone and ice. It had long arms and sharp claws. Its eyes glowed red. Mira pulled out her blade. "It's a guardian, left behind to protect this place." The creature charged. Tom fired. Mira dodged and swung her blade. The fight was quick but hard. The creature moved fast and hit strong. It knocked Tom to the ground. Mira jumped forward, slashing its arm. Tom rolled aside and shot its chest. The creature fell, shaking. The ground. Tom stood up, breathing heavy. "That was close." Mira walked over to him. "You okay?" "Just a bruise," he said. She looked at him. "You didn't run." Tom wiped his face. "I don't run from teammates." Mira lowered her blade. Her eyes softened. "You're strange." Human. Tom gave a small laugh. "I've been called worse." They checked the rest of the chamber. No more enemies came. The core was still working, but unstable. "We need to return," Mira said. "This place may not last long." They climbed back up slowly. The crack above them had grown wider. Ice fell around their feet. The storm outside was rising. Tom helped Mira through the last part. The rope was weak. She slipped, but he caught her arm. "You got me?" she asked. "Always," he replied. Back on the ship, they removed their gear. Mira sat near the window, looking at the cave far below. Tom sat across from her. "Do you still think I talk too much?" Mira looked at him. "Maybe. But you fight well, and you don't lie. Is that rare?" "Yes," she said. Tom leaned back. "Well, I'm glad you were with me. You read the signs. You led the way." Mira paused. "And you kept me safe." They flew back to the base. The wind outside was loud. Inside, there was only quiet. Mira glanced at Tom once. She didn't smile, but her eyes were softer than before. Something was changing. The ship landed back at Zarnik Base in the early morning. Snow still fell from the sky. and the wind was sharp as blades. Tom and Mira walked out of the craft, both tired but silent. Their faces showed no fear, but their minds were full of what they had seen underground. They went straight to the command center. Officers were already waiting. Tom placed the memory scanner on the table. Mira showed the ice symbols and recordings from the ruin. "This structure is not empty," she said. "It holds old knowledge. Dangerous knowledge." One officer looked at the screen and frowned. "We thought it was a dead zone." Tom stepped forward. "It's not. Something is down there." "Something alive," the officers whispered to each other. Some looked unsure. One older commander stood and crossed his arms. "How do we know this is real?" he asked. Mira narrowed her eyes. "You think I lie." The room grew quiet. Mira's voice was cold. Tom stepped closer, not to stop her but to stand beside her. "She doesn't lie," Tom said. "I was there. I saw it." The commander looked at both of them and gave a short nod. "Fine. We will send a deeper scan team. But you are not to return to that cave unless ordered." Mira said nothing. She turned and walked out. Tom followed her down the hall. She stopped near the door, her hands clenched. Her eyes stared at the floor. "You should not have defended me like that," she said without looking up. Tom shrugged. "You were right. That's all that matters." Mira turned to him. "You keep doing this, speaking like you know me, like we are friends." Tom looked into her eyes. "Are we not?" Mira didn't answer. She walked away again. Tom watched her go, then sat down on a bench nearby. Later that day, Mira stood in the tech room. She looked over the ruins data again. The machine's energy pattern was old but still active. She scanned the memory again. A strange line of code showed up, one that was not there before. It was a message, simple but clear. "They are waking. Trust none." Mira's breath caught. She saved the data on her device and left the room. Outside, she found Tom near the training yard, watching a group of young soldiers run drills. She walked up to him. "I found something." "A message from the ruin." Tom turned to her. "What kind of message?" Mira showed him the line of code. It was hidden deep. Someone or something left it for those who opened the core. Tom read the words slowly. "They are waking. Trust none." That means someone is down there. Maybe more than one. Mira nodded. "And not just old machines. Maybe something worse." They both stood quietly. The sun was low in the sky, casting long shadows across the snow. Mira looked at Tom. "I need to go back. Alone if I must." "You won't go alone," he said. Mira stared at him. "Even if command says no." Tom crossed his arms. "Some orders are made by people who don't understand the danger." "I do." Mira blinked. "Why do you care so much?" Tom looked at her carefully. "Because I trust you, and I believe in what you're doing." Mira looked down for a second. Her voice was low. "No one on my world ever said that to me before." Tom smiled softly. "Then it's about time someone did." That night, Mira sat in her room. She opened an old book written in her native language. It spoke of the Deep Builders, the race that built the ruins long ago. It said they were wise but too proud. They never shared knowledge. They trusted no other race. In the end, they fell into silence and disappeared under ice and stone. Mira ran her fingers over the pages. She remembered stories from her childhood. Her elders had warned her not to trust humans. They said humans were weak, full of words and emotions. But Tom was not weak. He was strong in a quiet way. He listened. He fought beside her. And he spoke with truth. Mira closed the book. Her heart felt strange again, like a flame that would not die. The next morning, Tom and Mira met at the hangar. They both wore light armor and carried gear. "You ready?" Tom asked. Mira nodded. "Let's move before anyone sees us." They took a smaller scout craft, one meant for deep scans. It had no weapons, just speed and shields. As they flew over the white fields again, the silence inside the ship was heavy. Tom finally spoke. "You ever wonder what the Deep Builders were trying to hide?" Mira nodded. "Yes, and I think we are close to finding out." They landed near the same crack in the ice, now wider than before. The cold air blew strong, but they moved fast down into the darkness. Inside the cave, the walls were no longer silent. A low hum came from deep below. The power was rising again. They reached the memory room. This time the crystals were brighter. The machine in the center pulsed like a beating heart. Mira touched the panel. Something is changing. The machine turned on again. But this time, the images were different. A shape moved in the shadows. Not a machine, not a creature. Something in between. It spoke in a voice both soft and sharp. You opened the door. Now they know. Tom stepped beside Mira. Who are you? The voice answered. I am the last memory of the builders. We warned them. They did not listen. Now it begins again. Mira looked around. Begins what? The voice faded. The lights went red. Tom grabbed Mira's arm. We need to go. Now as they turned to leave, the ground shook, the walls cracked. From the shadows, more guardians began to rise. But they were not like the last one. They were faster, stronger, and no longer asleep. The cave shook under Tom and Mira's feet. Pieces of ice fell from the ceiling. The red lights from the memory core made the room glow like fire. The shadows on the walls started to move. More guardians rose from the ground. They were tall and sharp, made of black metal and ice. Their red eyes burned with cold light. Their arms turned into blades. The sound of their steps echoed like thunder. Mira pulled her blade. No time to think. We fight or we fall. Tom nodded and raised his rifle. Back to back, the first guardian charged. Mira blocked its strike and pushed it back. Tom fired a burst of plasma at the second one. The shot hit its chest, but the machine didn't stop. It moved faster than the last one they fought. Mira jumped up and cut across the guardian's neck. Sparks flew. The machine fell, but two more came from behind. Tom threw a flash grenade. The blast lit the room white for a moment. The guardians paused. Mira used that second to pull Tom toward a side tunnel. This way, she said. There's a small passage that leads to the upper level. They ran through the narrow path. The machines followed. Their claws scratched the walls. Their growls filled the space with fear. The tunnel was tight. Tom moved behind Mira, covering their backs. One of the guardians tried to grab Tom's leg. He kicked hard and shot its hand. The machine fell, but the others kept coming. Mira found a sharp turn in the tunnel. She stopped and placed a charge on the wall. Keep going, she said. When you hear the blast, run faster. Tom didn't argue. He moved forward. Mira pressed the button and jumped back. The charge exploded. Rocks and ice fell behind them, blocking the path. The tunnel shook, but it held. They stopped near a frozen opening. There was silence now, just their breath and the soft sound of water drops. Tom sat down against the wall. That was close. Mira sat beside him. She looked at his face. Sweat covered his skin. There was a cut on his forehead. You are bleeding, she said. Tom wiped it with his sleeve. I'm fine. Just a scratch. Mira opened her kit and cleaned the cut. Her hands were careful. Her eyes stayed on the wound, but her mind was somewhere else. You saved me, Tom said. Again Mira gave a short reply. You would have done the same. Tom smiled. Yes, I would have. But it means more when it comes from you. Mira finished cleaning his wound. She looked at him. Her face was calm, but something inside her was moving. Her heart beat faster. She wanted to speak, but the words stayed inside. She stood up and looked around. We need to find the upper exit. The base must be warned. They followed the tunnel until they reached a broken platform. From there, they saw the cave above them. A long path of ice led to the surface, but it was not easy. The floor was cracked. Sharp spikes rose from both sides. The path was narrow and dangerous. Tom looked at it. We can't go back, so we go forward. Mira nodded. Step only where I step. One wrong move, and you fall into the deep. She moved first, slow and steady. Her boots touched the ice with care. Tom followed, placing his feet where hers had been. Halfway through, the path trembled. A part of it broke behind them and fell into the dark. The sound of the crash below told them how deep the cave was. Tom looked down, then looked ahead. Don't stop, he said to himself. Mira reached the top and pulled herself onto the ledge. She turned and held out her hand. Tom reached for it, but the ice under his foot cracked. He slipped. One foot hung in the air. His hand grabbed a sharp rock, and he held on. Tom, Mira said sharply, "I'm fine," he said through clenched teeth. He pushed himself up and caught her hand. Mira pulled him with all her strength. He rolled onto the ledge, breathing hard. Mira looked at him, then looked away. Tom sat up. "Thanks again." Mira didn't reply. She just stood and pointed ahead. "The surface is near. We climbed this last wall, and where out the final climb was steep. Ice and stone made rough steps. The wind above was loud, but it gave them hope." Tom climbed beside Mira, his hand near hers. They reached the top just as the sky turned gray with storm clouds. The base was far in the distance, but they could see the lights. Tom placed a signal beacon. It blinked green. "They'll pick us up in 10 minutes, he said. Mira sat down on a rock. Her eyes looked at the snow, but her mind was still in the cave. Tom sat beside her. "You're quiet," Mira spoke slowly. The voice in the machine said something. "They are waking. Trust none. I think the deep builders made something. They couldn't stop." Tom nodded. "And now that thing is waking up again." Mira turned to him. Her voice was soft. "We may be too late, but we must try." Tom looked at her, then reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small token, shaped like a shield. "My brother gave me this," he said, "before he left for his last mission. He told me to give it to someone I trust." Mira stared at the token. "Why are you giving it to me?" "Because I trust you," Tom said, "and I believe you'll carry it with honor." Mira took the token slowly. She held it in both hands. Her eyes showed something new, a quiet feeling, something warm and deep. The ship arrived and landed near them. Soldiers rushed out, helped them aboard, and took their gear. As the ship flew back to the base, Mira sat beside Tom. She didn't speak, but she didn't move away either. Their shoulders touched. The silence between them was no longer cold. It felt like a heartbeat in them, dark, steady, and strong. The ship touched down at Zarnik Base. Snow swirled around as the door opened. Tom and Mira stepped out. Their armor was scratched. Their faces were tired, but both walked with steady steps. Soldiers and officers gathered near the landing pad. News had already spread that something had gone wrong. Tom and Mira were called to the command room right away. Inside, the high officers sat around a large round table. Screens showed the map of the ice cave. Red markers blinked where the machines had risen. The air was heavy with silence. Tom placed the memory drive on the table. Mira stood beside him with her arms crossed. "We went to the deep chamber," Mira said. "The machines are not dead. They're active, and they are growing stronger." Tom added, "We found more than just machines. There's a voice, a warning left by the deep builders. They feared something underground, and now it's waking up again." An older officer leaned forward. "You disobeyed orders by returning to that cave. You risked your lives without permission." Mira stepped forward. "We risked our lives to save this base. If we had waited, it would have been too late." Another officer asked, "Do you have proof?" Tom connected the memory drive to the screen. The image of the shadow figure appeared. Its voice played across the room. "You opened the door. Now they know. The machines never sleep. And the deep will rise." The room went silent. No one moved. Mira pointed to the map. "These red marks are spreading. If we wait, the machines will reach the base. They do not stop. They were built for one purpose: to destroy anything that does not belong." One officer looked unsure. "But this warning is old. What if it's just a broken message?" Tom stepped up. "We saw them with our eyes. We fought them. One nearly took off my leg. These are not broken toys. They are real." The base commander finally stood. His voice was firm. "We will prepare a mission, a full team. But you two are grounded for now. You disobeyed direct orders." Tom opened his mouth to argue, but Mira touched his arm. She shook her head. "Let them go. At least now they believe." As they left the room, outside, the cold wind blew again. Tom looked at her. "You don't like being told to wait, do you?" Mira's eyes narrowed. "No, I like action. But sometimes waiting is smarter." Tom smiled. "That sounded like a compliment to yourself." She looked at him with a flat face. "You talk too much," he laughed. "And you never laugh. Maybe one day you will." Mira looked away. but her lips moved just slightly, a tiny smile, almost hidden. The next day, the base prepared the attack team, heavy soldiers, flying drones, and scanning bots were loaded onto transport ships. But Tom and Mira were told to stay inside the base. They watched from the control room as the team moved toward the cave. The mission commander's voice played over the speaker. "We are entering the upper tunnel." No sign of movement yet. All systems stable. Mira sat still, her eyes on the screen. Tom stood behind her. Suddenly, the signal cracked. The screen shook. The commander's voice came again, but now it was full of noise. "Movement detected. To contacts, no. 4. No. More. They're everywhere. We are under attack. Repeat. We are." The signal ended. The screen went black. Officers ran across the control room. Alarms started to flash. Red lights filled the hall. The base commander turned. "We have lost contact. Send rescue teams." Now Tom looked at Mira. Her face was stone cold, but her eyes were burning. "This is what we tried to warn them," she said. Tom nodded. Now they know. Later that evening, Tom and Mira sat on the roof of the West Tower. The sky above them was full of stars. The wind had calmed. It was the only quiet place left. Tom looked at the stars. "You think this base will hold?" Mira answered without looking. "Not without a real plan." Tom turned to her. "You have one." Mira pulled out a small tablet. She showed a map of the cave system. "There's another path under the first chamber, deeper and older. If we reach it, we may find the source of the machines." Tom looked at her. "And destroy it?" "Yes," she said. Tom thought for a moment. "You think command will allow it?" Mira's voice was sharp. "I don't care. I will go with or without permission." Tom smiled. "Then I guess I'm going to." Again she looked at him. Her voice softened. "You don't have to follow me everywhere." "You know." Tom leaned closer. "Maybe I want to. Maybe I like walking beside you." Mira looked at him for a long moment. Her face stayed still, but something warm moved behind her eyes. "You're still strange, human," she said. "And you're still angry," Tom replied. She raised an eyebrow. "Are you going to say it again?" Tom smiled. "You're beautiful when angry." Mira shook her head slowly. "You never stop, do you?" "No," he said. They both looked at the stars again. Down below, the base was busy. Soldiers prepared for the next wave. Drones scanned the skies. Command planned another mission. But up on the roof, it was just the two of them, a human soldier and an alien warrior. Different worlds, different ways, but now walking the same path. Mira spoke softly, as if to herself. "I don't understand you, Tom, but I don't want to lose you either." Tom looked at her, surprised. She stood up and walked to the edge of the tower. "Soon we return to the ice, and this time, we won't just run. We finish it." Tom stood beside her. "Together." Mira nodded. "Together." The cold wind blew fiercely over Zarnik Base as the team prepared for the mission beneath the planet. Soldiers moved quickly, checking their weapons and armor. Tom and Mira stood side by side in the hangar, ready to lead the group into the deep ice caves. Mira looked around at the team. Heavy armored soldiers, alien fighters, and human scouts all waited. Their faces showed both fear and determination. Everyone knew the danger they would face. Tom stepped forward. "We all have one goal: to stop the machines before they reach the surface. Stay close. Watch each other's backs." Mira nodded. "These machines are not like anything we have fought before. They are fast, strong, and very smart. Use everything we have." The team boarded transport ships that flew low over the ice fields. The cold outside was harsh, but inside the ships was tense silence. As they landed near the cave entrance, the storm above raged. The wind whipped snow into the air. Tom and Mira led the group down the icy tunnels. The walls glowed faintly with ancient symbols. Suddenly, the alarms on their suits beeped loudly. "Motion detected." "Get ready," Mira said. "They are near." From the darkness, the machines appeared, black and sharp with glowing red eyes. They moved quickly. Their claws sliced through the air as they attacked. Soldiers fired their weapons, energy blasts lighting the caves. The sound of fighting echoed through the tunnels. Mira fought at the front, her blade flashing in the cold air. She moved fast and sure, striking down machines before they could reach her. Tom was close behind, firing his plasma rifle with steady aim. One machine jumped towards Mira from above. She blocked with her blade, but stumbled. Tom fired twice, hitting the machine's arm and making it fall. "Thanks," Mira said, breathing hard. Tom smiled briefly. "I always cover your back." The fight was long and dangerous. Machines kept coming in waves. The team moved carefully, using the tunnels and narrow paths to their advantage. Suddenly, a deep roar shook the cave. A giant machine appeared. It was taller than all the others, made of thick metal and ice. Its arms were huge blades, and its eyes shone like fire. The team stopped. Fear filled the air. Mira stepped forward. "This is the leader. It controls the others." Tom looked at her. "How do we stop it?" Mira thought quickly. "We must destroy its core. It is inside its chest." Tom nodded. "I will cover you. You get close." Mira moved toward the giant machine. Dodging its attacks, the machine swung its blades, trying to hit her. Tom fired at the smaller machines around. His shots hit perfectly, protecting Mira. Mira reached the machine's chest. She raised her blade and struck. The metal cracked. But the machine did not fall. It grabbed her arm and threw her back. Mira hit the ground hard. Pain shot through her shoulder. Tom ran to her side. "Mira." She pushed herself up. "I'm fine. Keep fighting." The giant machine charged at Tom. He jumped aside and fired several times. The machine roared and hit the wall. Pieces of ice fell around. Mira stood up and joined Tom. Together, they attacked the machine again. Tom aimed at the chest while Mira struck the sides. After many hits, the machine's core began to glow bright red. It shook and made a loud sound. Then, with a great explosion, it fell apart. The smaller machines stopped moving. The cave was silent. The team cheered quietly. They were tired but victorious. Mira looked at Tom. "We did it." Tom smiled. "We did it together." They helped each other up. The cold air felt fresh after the fight. As they walked back through the cave, Mira and Tom talked softly. "I never thought humans could be this brave," Mira said. Tom laughed. "And I never thought an alien could be this strong and kind." Mira smiled for the first time. "Maybe we are better together." Tom nodded. "I believe that too." When they returned to the base, they were welcomed as heroes. Officers praised their courage and skill. Mira stood beside Tom during the ceremony. The crowd cheered, but Mira's eyes were only on Tom. After the celebration, they walked outside under the stars. Tom looked at Mira. "You know, I still think you're beautiful when angry." Mira laughed softly. "You say that too much." Tom smiled. "Because it is true." They stood together in silence, feeling the peace after the battle. Two warriors from different worlds, joined by trust and respect, together. They were stronger than anything the galaxy could send. The sun rose slowly over Zarnuk Base. Light touched the icy fields and made them shine like diamonds. The battle was over, but the future was just beginning. Tom and Mira stood on the edge of the base. They looked out over the wide world. The air was cold but calm. No more alarms, no more fighting for now. Mira took a deep breath. "The machines are gone, but the ruins still hold many secrets." Tom nodded. "We have much to learn, and many more challenges ahead." Mira looked at him, her silver eyes bright. "Thank you for standing with me, for trusting me." Tom smiled. "I never doubted you, and I'm glad to have you by my side." They walked back toward the base together. Soldiers passed them, some nodding with respect. Mira's people and the humans were beginning to work closer now. A new trust was forming. Inside the command center, the leaders met. They talked about rebuilding, learning from the deep builder's knowledge, and preparing for the future. Mira and Tom were asked to lead a new team. A team of explorers, scientists, and warriors. Their goal was to protect peace and discover the mysteries of the galaxy. The night before their first mission, Mira sat alone in her room. She looked at the token Tom had given her. It was a simple shield, but it meant much more. Her heart was full of thoughts, the war, the fights, The moments they shared, she felt something she never thought she would hope. Tom knocked softly and entered. He smiled when he saw her. "You still awake?" he asked. Mira nodded. "I was thinking." "About what?" he asked, sitting beside her. "About trust, about friendship, about new beginnings." Tom looked at her with kind eyes. "I'm glad you feel that way." Mira hesitated. "There is something I want to say, but it is hard." Tom took her hand gently. "You can say anything." She looked down, then back up. "You made me see that I do not have to be alone, that even warriors can have softness." Tom smiled. "I see that softness too. It makes you stronger." Mira's cheeks flushed slightly. "You are strange. Human, maybe." Tom laughed. "But I'm yours in this galaxy." They sat quietly, hands joined, sharing a quiet moment. The next day, their team prepared for a journey into the unknown. Ships were loaded with supplies, and the new explorers gathered. Mira and Tom stood before them. Mira spoke with clear voice. "We have faced great danger, but we have won because we trusted each other. This trust will guide us forward." Tom added, "Together, we are stronger than any enemy. Together, we will face the stars." The team cheered quietly. Then, they boarded their ships. As the ships lifted off, Mira looked at Tom. "You know what you said once." "What?" "You're beautiful when angry." Tom smiled. "I remember." Mira laughed softly. "Maybe now I believe it." Tom reached for her hand, and I mean every word. The ships flew toward the stars, ready for new adventures. To friends from different worlds, bound by courage and trust, ready to face whatever the galaxy would send. A new dawn was rising.